People who recorded their last moments. Lock in.
Ivan Lester McGuire was a 35-year-old skydiving expert who lived in the small town of Franklinton, North Carolina.
Okay.
He worked as a skydiving cameraman at the now-defunct Franklin County Sports Parachute Center, where his job was to capture photos and videos of clients who wanted their skydive jumps recorded.
Okay.
He'd been doing this every day for years, and April 2nd, 1988 was no different.
I'm gonna be real, Chad, bro. Y'all gotta, whoever's the skydiving instructor, the people who up in there, the rigger for the parachutes, bro. I don't know if that's all one person, but dude, shout out to y'all, bro. Y'all brave. Y'all some brave niggas.
Just another routine workday would end in a sudden, irreversible tragedy. The day began smoothly, with Ivan successfully completing 2 dives by late afternoon. But it was an unusually busy Saturday, and before the sun could set, he was called in for a 3rd jump. He was already exhausted by this point, but didn't want fatigue to get in the way of his job, so he agreed to the dive. The plane took off from the runway located right next to the sports
See,
center.
if you didn't feel right, you should have just stopped there, bro. If you didn't feel right, why didn't you just stop?
10,500 feet in the air. After reaching this desired altitude, Ivan jumped first, making sure to keep his helmet-mounted camera pointed towards the client and their accompanying skydiving instructor. What you're looking at right now is a part of the footage that he captured. A few seconds after the jump, the other instructor opened his parachute, which was Ivan's cue to open his own. But when he reached for his ripcord, it wasn't there. Panic set in as he frantically disregarded getting a good shot and searched his body for the ripcord, hoping it was just stuck somewhere. And that's when he made the horrifying discovery. He wasn't wearing a parachute at all. And since the other instructor had already opened his parachute, he couldn't help Ivan in any way either. After realizing his situation, the only words that came out of Ivan's mouth were, "Oh my God, no." The footage then became blurry as Ivan sped up to.
See, that's how you know he was tired, bro. Yeah, but I ain't gonna lie, there's no way in my 22 years of living, I'm up in a parachute, like I'm up in the sky, and I'm supposed to have a parachute. There is no way in hell I'm forgetting I don't have a parachute on.
50 miles per hour, or over
No way!
kilometers per hour. He crash landed in a wooded area near the runway and likely passed away the instant he hit the ground. When rescue workers found his body, his camera equipment and the VHS tape he was recording on were broken into multiple pieces.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fortunately, investigators were able to splice together enough working sections to get a good picture of what happened before he jumped. They were able to rule out both foul play and the possibility that Ivan had intentionally chosen not to wear a parachute. But if that's the case, how could a seasoned expert with over 800 successful skydives under his belt simply forget to put on?
He was tired. You know how.
Unfortunately, none of the evidence the investigators were able to.
You know the crazy part about it? It's like,
given his circumstances, a few popular theories.
The veterans, bro. It'd be the veterans that've done shit for a long time, so they just do shit routinely without a thought behind it. And I think this is one of the cases, bro.
Have emerged that offer possible.
I think this is one of the cases.
What might have gone wrong. The first of which is that this incident was the result of nothing more than ill-fated complacency.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, Ivan had already completed 2 jumps that day and was exhausted before getting on the plane for the 3rd time.
Yeah,
Maybe
bro, there's no way I would be doing that. Well,
nigga,
what is this? Is this the 1990s, bro? Why is the camera quality so bad?
However, if he wasn't wearing anything on his shoulders, someone around him would have almost certainly noticed before the jump. Which brings us to the second and more likely possibility. The incident happened because of his camera equipment. You see, unlike today, where a tiny action cam is all it takes to film a skydive, back in the 1980s, recording that footage required bulky camera gear that had to be worn in a backpack. There's a chance Ivan and the others around him mistook this camera bag.
That nigga got a damn 1976 Polaroid on his stuff.
That said, while Ivan wasn't fortunate enough to survive, the footage of his accident stands as a sobering reminder for skydivers to always double, even triple check their gear.
Yeah, that's kind of insane.
Today
you forget, you, bro.
I
don't want to hear your beat, bro.
Trash! On the 15th of
There's just no way I'm forgetting, bro. I've skydived my entire life, bro. The moment I do a skydive and forget a parachute is the day that everything needs to be done. R.I.P. him.
January 2023,
how the hell you
forget Airlines Flight 691 took off from Kathmandu's Triphuvan International Airport at around 10:30 a.m. It was a domestic flight headed for the Pokhara International Airport, located roughly 124 miles or 200 kilometers west of the takeoff location.
Oh, you was
Things
better off
started
just
just as
driving.
everyone hoped, with the plane taking off, climbing,
You should have just took that 2.5 hour drive.
And as it was about to land at the Pokhara airport, one of the passengers started live streaming on Facebook from within the cabin. This passenger was a 25-year-old Indian man named Sanu Jaiswal. He was an adventurous young man who loved nothing more than exploring new places with his friends and experiencing their beauty firsthand. This time he had traveled to Nepal as a tourist with 3 of his close friends, and after enjoying Kathmandu to its fullest, the 4 of them were headed to Pokhara to experience paragliding. He was excited for the
snap.
upcoming adventure and
So have
wanted
you
to
ever
share
been
this moment with
paragliding
his
before?
entire social circle, which is why he started streaming. What none of his viewers knew, however, was that this was going to be the last time they would see Sanu alive. Because just a minute after he started streaming, the situation took a terrifying turn as the camera became disoriented and the laughter turned to screaming. What followed was an extremely loud explosion.
The plane blew
Somehow
up?
the phone stayed intact and continued streaming everything to Sanu's friends and family. But all they could see at this point was nothing short of horrific, with the
Damn.
entire camera feed getting covered in raging flames, and worst of all, the screaming suddenly coming to a halt.
No.
Something had gone horribly wrong.
No.
And
What
it
happened?
wasn't
How?
long before people found out exactly what. Flight 691 had somehow crashed into the riverbank a few hundred meters away from the airport. The crash also caused the remaining fuel to ignite. So by the time the rescue workers arrived on the scene, there was nothing left. The crash and the resulting fire had taken the lives of the 4 crew members and the 68 passengers. Sanu was among these casualties.
Everybody
as he
died,
unknowingly
nobody made it.
recorded his own final moments with no idea of the tragedy that was about to unfold.
That's insane, bro.
The only silver lining in this accident was that the plane barely missed the populated area right next to the river, which would have likely doubled, if not tripled, the losses. As for how things went so horribly wrong when the rest of the flight had been relatively smooth, a months-long investigation concluded that it was mostly due to human error. You see, the flight was originally supposed
Human
to
error,
land on
bro.
runway
See what I'm saying, bro? The damn crew members is the reasoning. Bro, and it's the fact, like, bro, all of a sudden people are just laughing and screaming. There's no way, there's literally no way y'all are up in the sky, don't feel the plane barreling down towards the ground. The niggas, hey, and then everybody's just like screaming, and then the shit instantly blows up. Nigga, how far y'all off the ground? I'm not doing no uninternational flights, bro. Like every flight I have to be, bro, it has to,
Zero.
bro. I don't
For
know.
some unknown reason, the pilot requested.
I can't
to
say
land
that. I
on
flew
the
to Korea
indirect
and made it
runway
back, so.
12. Now, the co-pilot Anju Kariwada was under training at the time, so it's possible.
These niggas died from. You know how mad I would be, bro. Like, she was under training, and she's the reason why the shit blew
The
up.
pilot requested the alternative route to teach her how to land at an awkward angle. Unfortunately, while the plane was turning, she misinterpreted a command and accidentally switched both engine propellers to the feathered position. This resulted in the engine stalling, the plane losing control, turning over, and crashing into the riverbank.
And fuck the niggas behind her because bro, if you seen her do it, you could have stopped her, bro. You could have stopped her. You could have did something to stop her. That's insane, bro.
Simply, a single unfortunate mistake cost the lives of dozens of people and uprooted the lives of hundreds of family members.
I would be so pissed off, bro. Imagine dying. Right? Just imagine dying because somebody did the wrong thing on the control system of the airplane. Just because she wasn't sure about what was going on. She could have just asked, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Because I'm pretty sure you don't have to be in a car make instant turns and stuff. You don't even have to be in a car to make no instant turn, bro. I'm pretty sure you have time to fix a mistake in a plane.
On June
It's
16,
over.
2013, 29-year-old Yevgeny Titov noticed a demolition happening near his work in Lipetsk, Russia. He was on his lunch break and had plenty of time to admire the work being done. So he took out his phone and started recording the demolition. Unfortunately, watching this demolition was about to become the worst decision of his life. Now, I should mention that Yevgeny was being as cautious as he could.
Mm.
He was standing at least twice as far from the building being destroyed as the two men in front of him.
I don't even think I would
Yevgeny
have
was
still
also
stood that
standing
far
off to the
from him.
side, since given the demolition method, the debris looked like it was going to fall towards the excavator. Tragically, that is not what happened. As the excavator pulled the wall beyond its tipping point, it didn't detach cleanly and rotated mid-air, sending massive bricks and other debris hurling toward Yevgeny. And while the men standing nearby were nearly missed, Yevgeny wasn't so lucky. He was thrown to the ground by flying debris, with the impact leaving him critically wounded while others rushed over to help.
No.
Paramedics were called and rushed him to the hospital. Sadly, it was too late. Yevgeny had suffered multiple complex fractures, damaged organs, and serious brain trauma. He passed away shortly after reaching the hospital.
Yeah, I ain't gonna
leaving his
lie though.
wife and 3-year-old daughter behind. All because he wanted to watch a building be
Dude.
demolished from what he believed was
See.
a safe distance. The company in charge of the demolition was charged with criminal negligence for failing to establish an effective perimeter around the worksite, with the video Yevgeny captured serving as a crucial piece of evidence. However, no legal penalty could rewind time or erase the damage that had already been done.
Yeah, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. You can. I wouldn't even say you can be mad at that nigga, bro. Cause
23-year-old Helen
who
White-
thinks that wall's gonna fall that way, bro? I thought the wall would just fall and crumble, bro. The wall fell, crumbled, and then rolled. Oh, bro, I would be so mad at
Maria
heaven.
Buto moved from Kenya to Canada on a 10-year study visa when she was just 20 years old. By 2022, she was close to completing her education while also working as a nurse and a personal support worker in the Toronto area. Things were going well for Helen, but things took a tragic turn in August of 2022 when a single accident wiped out everything she had worked so hard to build. She was hired as a personal support worker by someone living in the small town of Chatsworth, Ontario. She decided to rent a room in the only motel in Chatsworth to accommodate this job and started living there. The place wasn't too shabby, but the thing that caught Helen's eye was the motel's outdoor swimming pool. So, on
Never seen a
August 8th,
motel with a
she found
swimming
enough
pool.
free time to go for a swim while also live streaming her experience on Facebook. She had the pool all to herself, and it was every bit as peaceful and relaxing as she'd hoped.
I'm gonna be so honest, bro. Why are we swimming in a motel swimming pool? I'm not. That's just something I won't do, bro.
However, just as she was starting to enjoy swimming, disaster struck. About 10 minutes after getting into the pool, she decided to swim toward the deep end. Unfortunately, just seconds after entering the deep end, she lost control and began drowning.
Lost
She
control.
desperately called for help with the little air she had left. Tragically, there was no one to hear her. After struggling in the water for nearly a minute, Helen lost the fight and passed away just outside the range of her phone's camera, which continued streaming everything live on Facebook. Her last words stating, "Let me enjoy some water," took on a much darker meaning as her live viewers waited for
Wow.
someone to notice Helen. However, she remained unnoticed for nearly 3 hours until 2 other guests finally arrived at the pool and made the heartbreaking discovery while the live stream was still going. But these guests couldn't even believe what they were looking at first.
Why is there just a dead person in the water? I know that scared the me when I got in. I think it's a poodle or something.
A
It
poodle.
looks so realistic.
I know. I got in and I was like, is it somebody? Walk over there. Just walk over there.
You can say, is it dead?
Like, what if it's actually somebody dead? Because I'm not even trolling. That looks way too real.
They eventually realized the truth and immediately contacted the motel management. By the time someone checked on Helen,
The
she-
management, nigga, call the
The
cops.
live stream helped prove that this was nothing more than a terrible accident, though that did little to soften the blow for her family. As her father stated, "I watched the video, I cried, it's terrible." What made the tragedy even more devastating was that Helen was the sole breadwinner for her family. Without her, they couldn't even afford to bring her body home to Kenya. Fortunately, when the story made headlines, the internet came together and raised over 66,000 Canadian dollars to cover her funeral expenses and help her family in their time of need, giving a somewhat bright ending amongst an absolutely tragic situation.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah, I know when I was in basic training, they threw me in the pool, right? And I thought I could swim because, yeah, I thought I could swim. Turns out I can't swim. So they threw me in the deep end. They told me to float. And I know the feeling of being thrown in the deep end, not being able to get out. They threw me in the deep end. Dead in the middle. Wasn't no wall to hang on to. It just told me to float. Let's just say I got to the point where I was just content with just like giving up on life, bro. I just stopped. I'm not gonna lie, I said somebody go fucking save me or I'm gonna die. Yeah,
Armin
Chad.
Schmieder was a
Oh my
20-year-old
God.
Italian man with a love for extreme sports. He originally started with skydiving and performed countless jumps across
Another
Europe.
skydiving
But
one, bro. I
as time
can't do
went
it.
on, he started getting bored of skydiving and wanted to try something even more extreme. So, sometime in 2015, he switched from skydiving to wingsuit base jumping.
Oh,
Learning a brand new
hell
sport,
no.
especially
Nigga
one
think
as
he a
dangerous as
bat.
wingsuit base jumping, was quite risky.
Nigga flying
But
straight to the
Armin managed to
mountain.
pull through and became quite proficient at it in just 1 year. What he didn't know, however, was that his luck was about to run out. On the 26th of August 2016,
Y'all jumping off a
Armin climbed to
mountain,
the summit
bro.
of Mount Kangersteg in the Swiss Alps. On this day, he wanted to live stream his adventure, which started with him putting on the equipment and getting ready for the jump. But since he didn't have any streaming capable action camera or a secure mount for his phone, he came up with an alternative solution, where once he was fully geared up, he told his viewers, "Today you fly with me," and put the phone in his pocket. All his viewers could see now was the darkness inside of his pocket, with some light bleeding through the fabric.
No,
But the
bro.
audio was still clear enough to understand what was going on, like Armin counting down and making the jump.
2, 1.
Things seemed to be going as expected. However, about 20 seconds after he made the jump, his phone captured the sounds of Armin screaming, crashing into the mountainside, and rapidly rolling down the steep terrain.
Check this one. Nigga landed on some pots. Bro, imagine all the stuff that, bro, just imagine all the stuff that happened. That's not on camera that has happened like this though, bro. It could have been, imagine, bro, and it's only on there because he's live streaming it, bro. Cause there's no way you get a video. I don't even think you just get a video and then it just posts, bro. You had to be live doing that. And what's up with it? Why is he why are we skydiving? Bro, whatever the human back gliding. Why are we human back gliding off a mountain? Heading straight into the mountain. Where's the safety? Landed to I don't even know, bro. It couldn't be me.
Fall ended with Armin landing in the middle of a cow pasture, now being completely silent. His viewers quickly contacted the authorities, who spent the next few hours looking for him. Unfortunately, by the time they found him, it was already too late. Armin had succumbed to his injuries and passed away. And while the Swiss authorities never released the true cause of his death, whether it was equipment failure or pilot error, at the very least, he died doing what he loved.
Nah, bro. Ain't no way I'm doing that by myself, though, bro.
Tevye Pustio
There
was
has
a
to be some kind of
29-year-old
supervision
pop
that comes
singer
with
in
that.
Romania. He was described as one of Romania's rising music stars and was building a bigger following with each passing year. Unfortunately, before he had the chance to make it big, his career was abruptly cut short on August 15, 2020. He was riding through the city of Ploiesti in a car with his wife behind the wheel. And as they were making their way through the city, Tevye decided to live stream his
That's what
travel from
Romania
his
look
phone.
like?
This stream was just him smoking, listening to music, smiling, and having plain fun. But then, a few minutes into the stream, his wife stopped the car at a crossing of sorts. She looked both ways before driving forward, only for the stream to suddenly cut off, with Tevye screaming in horror being the last thing viewers witnessed. As it turned out, the two were crossing a railway line, and while his wife did look both ways, she somehow missed the train barreling towards them. By the time they noticed, it was already too...
Bro. Oh my gosh. How much of a breadstick do you have to be, bro? No, my God, bro. Your awareness is 3, dude. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Your awareness has to be a 3 with the hard cap max being 5. What do you mean you look both ways and run out on a railroad track and get hit by a train?
Turned out that... As it turned out, the two were crossing a railway line, and while his wife did
Nigga, you telling me you can't even hear the train? You don't see the train? Or you see the train, you just run into it?
look
That had to be what the
both
case
ways,
was, bro. There's no
the
way.
train barreling towards them. By the time they noticed, it was already too late. Their car was wrecked completely, resulting in Tavy tragically losing his life. What's crazy is that just a month before this crash, Tavy made a Facebook post stating, "One day, the wrong train will take you to the right destination."
That's
His
crazy.
wife miraculously survived, but sustained several critical injuries.
She
Rushed to
survived?
the hospital and put on life support, though I wasn't able to find any reports on what happened to her after that. The now tragic final memory Tavy left to his fans was him simply having
Bro.
fun and dancing to music.
There's no way. Listen, chat. There's just no way that he did, bro. There's no way she ran out into the train on accident, bro. There's no way, bro. There's too much shit going on for you to run into a train accidentally, bro.